There are things happening in this world that don't fit neatly into official explanations. This is Broadcasting Seeds. I'm Bennett, and here we explore the strange, the suppressed, the biblical, and the paranormal without fear, without hype, and without pretending the unseen doesn't matter. Let's get into it. All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Broadcasting Seeds. I am your host, Bennett Tanton, and today we have Justin Doc Brown from the Prometheus Lens Podcast. Doc, probably everyone knows who you are on here, but for those that don't, tell us who you are and what you do.
Bennett, thank you for having me back, man. But yeah, Justin Brown got the nickname Doc. That's kind of like my little handle. It's DOC, not DR. I'm not trying to pose off as a doctorate degree guy. But I did stay at a Hotel 6 last night. Is that how it goes? The Hotel 6?
Yeah, something like that. Or it's a Holiday Inn Express. That's what.
Yes, that's it.
I did stay.
Wah. But no, I'm just I was a 9 to 5 knuckle dragger factory worker my entire life, but grew up Christian and loved history and ancient lost civilizations and all that kind of cool stuff, man. And I just ended up talking about it, man, doing a podcast, and it's called Prometheus Lens Podcast. Wrote my first book this year, The Epic of Esau, Birthright and Seed War. Oh, yeah, there it is. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
And website, PrometheusLensPodcast.com. I'm trying to think anywhere you can consume content, you can find it, man. But yeah, I just recently hung up the steel-toed boots, and this is my first week full time, man. So God has blessed me. I got my seatbelt on and ready to roll.
Congratulations, man. It's
no, thank you.
That's a dive, right? That's a big leap. So it's pretty cool. So the Prometheus Lens, now, I mean, again, you've been on the show before, but what does Prometheus represent to you? You know, like everyone knows, not everyone, but most people know who, and I'll say the who Prometheus is, but what does Prometheus represent to you? And like, what are you trying to help people see through that lens, literally?
Yeah. Well, to me, Prometheus was a very interesting figure. And I jumped into Joseph Campbell's Hero of 1,000 Faces. And he talks about the hero's journey. And a lot of non-believers use stuff like Campbell used, showing the similarities of the story of Christ throughout the world as proof that the Bible is bunk and it's not real. But to me, it just done the opposite. It reaffirmed my faith, because I was like, I'm not one of these, quote unquote Christians that thinks that God remained silent to all of his creation for thousands of years and then only revealed himself to a small select few people inside of the Levant. He made us all. We're all his creation. So I believe he gave hints of himself throughout the world, through all these other religions and stories. That way, when the real deal showed up, they had all the warning signs and what they called all the billboards on the highway, wild drug is coming, wild drug is coming.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that way you knew what was there when you got there.
It's like the Bucky signs all along the daggone road, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's coming.
Yeah, you do. It's been 300 miles.
Yeah. So Prometheus, when I, kind of got that perspective and got to looking into this stuff, he was a really interesting figure to me, because he's one of the few, if not the only, that I'm aware of, that his character and persona is all based on your perception. On one end, he can be seen as a Christ figure because he is the benefactor of man. He does something to help mankind. He's cast down, and he's also crucified for his deed, his good deed to humanity.
To help humanity.
Yeah, he was nailed to the Caucasus Mountains, where an eagle would tear out his liver every single night, and it would regrow so the eagle could feast again the next day.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, he is a Satan figure because he is the divine rebel. And just like Genesis 6, the angels came down, bred with the daughters of men, and they gave them forbidden knowledge. Well, the fire is symbolic for the knowledge. So it's kind of how you look at him. And I thought that was interesting. And the Bible says, my people suffer from lack of knowledge. And Satan is the prince of the power of the air, the ruler of this world. So I tell people, if he is the ruler of this world and he is this Prometheus figure, then I think it's really important that we have his perspective. So that way we are not deceived. Know thine enemy. And at the same time, I can't remember, I think it was Romans, but it said, what the devil means for harm, he turns for the good to all who love him.
Yeah.
So let's take that fire. Let's take that knowledge from him and use it for the glory of God and his kingdom, and spread that fire, that knowledge, that thing that Christ said his people lack. So I just want to have interesting conversations, man, stretch our minds, grow, sharpen the swords of the Christians,
and
at the same time have interesting conversations that even non-Christians would enjoy. And just like you, sprinkle some seeds, not beat them over the head with the Bible and preach to them, because that always turned me off. But just sprinkle a little bit of seed while I have their attention, and hopefully something will sprout and grow.
Yep. That's the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So was there a moment or experience that forced you to start questioning, I guess we'll call them official narratives or mainstream explanations?
Yeah. I guess my first experience with that was probably like 9/11, when that happened,
right.
Seeing all the stuff coming out about that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they just blatantly lied to us and tricked us to trade away our privacy,
because you're old enough
freedoms.
to remember that stuff in a real fashion. A lot of folks aren't, they have no idea. So, but either way.
But yeah, I've seen that, and I've always had trust issues and authority issues anyway. But once scrolling through Facebook and YouTube, that's how I stumbled into people like Trey Smith and Derek Gilbert and all these, big brain guys, Graham Hancock, that had this alternative view of history and of the Bible. And so I already had that seed from 9/11. I'm like, I already know that we were being lied to and manipulated.
Yeah.
So let's seek this out. And once again, more often than not, man, when you relook at almost everything, it's been manipulated or you've been lied to or been skewed in the very least. So that's something I say in the show. It's when I open it up, I'm like, hey, we're going to take the Prometheus lens to re-examine everything.
Yeah, for sure. So along those lines, you think knowledge is being, we know the answer. I know the answer. You think knowledge is being deliberately withheld from the public, or at very least distorted until it's useless.
Mm-hmm. Yep. To use LA's term, it's being obfuscated from the people.
Great. It's a great way to put it.
Yeah. Got to throw around those $20 words every once in a while.
Who do you think benefits most from people staying distracted instead of curious?
Oh, the ones in the powers that be. It's kind of like, Solomon says nothing new is under the sun.
Yeah.
if you look into the Sumerian stories, you have basically Enki's world order. And they talk about they made this race of people just to be dumb slaves. They wanted them smart enough to complete their tasks and serve them, do the things they wanted them to do, but that's it. They didn't want them to have any more intellect to question what they're saying or find a better way of life. They just wanted mindless slaves to do their bidding.
Yeah.
And I think that's, nothing news under the sun. That's what we see today with your public school systems, everything, the marketplace, your job. We are worker bees for this, this government, and this government is a business. It might as well have an LLC after that USA. We're the ones that show up and produce the product and bring in the tax revenue, and they give us just enough knowledge to be able to do our tasks, but hide and obfuscate all of their manipulation and things that they do to keep us, in line with the rules and regulations of the company.
Yeah, no, seriously. I mean, we take it back to all the way to, the adversary, Satan, whatever you want to call him, and the powers and principalities, that's who we're fighting at the end of the day. It's not, it's those, I'm trying to think of the word. It's those origins that we're fighting against, in my opinion.
And it's microcosms, that's what I always use. I think I see that everywhere, especially like in the Bible, but, like the Tower of Babel, everybody just looks at Genesis 11 and that event. But when you go to Deuteronomy 32:8, it says that not only the people the tongues were divided, but the peoples were divided amongst the B'nai Elohim, the sons of God. So there you go. That's where you get your rulers, your principalities, spiritual wickedness in high places that Paul talks about, and that event in Daniel 10 where the angels are fighting amongst each other to get to Daniel to deliver the message. So, you have these worldly leaders trying to, run this company like I was talking about in government and world leaders, but then behind the scene is the rulers and principalities, the spiritual wickedness in high places, whispering into the ear, pulling the strings of the people. So it's like a microcosm. It's one and the same. Just one's on a physical level and one's in a spiritual level. So it's like the physical is just a shadow of the real reality.
Yeah, absolutely. Truth. So in your research, what's one topic that made you say, okay, this changes everything? Like, just hit you hard.
Honestly, it was studying for this book, The Epic of Esau, when I got into serpent seed theory. Man, that changed everything. And it made everything in the Bible just connect, man. And it made everything make so much more sense that was ambiguous and didn't make sense before. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, I'm not the one who discovered serpent seed theory, but there's only a very small handful of people that ascribe to it. And I'm like, I'm not a smart guy. I'm a C+ average guy, but I seen these dots and made these connections. How come these big brain guys ain't doing that?
Yeah.
And I love, Gary Wayne. I love L.A. Marzulli. All these guys, they talk about the seed war. They've been beating on that drum forever.
Yeah, and they say
but
the
they
words.
won't go this far.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't align with it. So it's like, I've never asked them outright. And even if I did, I wouldn't bring it out in public because
of course,
if they want to say it, they will say it. But I wonder often that if they really believe it, they know it, but they don't want to say it out loud because I'm a prime example. You will get blackballed. Christians, I don't know why, but that subject gets people up in arms. They will light their torches and gather their pitchforks and come after you. And I think it's because it's a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
You're revealing the plans of the fallen ones and the wicked one, and they want to shut you down.
Yeah.
Guys, we talk about Genesis 6, and especially those guys that I mentioned earlier. Genesis 6, angels came down, bred with the daughters of men, made a hybrid race, and oh yeah, that's the serpent seed. That's not a serpent seed. That's the other fallen angels. But when you go back and propose that the Nakash has a physical seed, just like God said he did in the beginning, I'll put enmity between her seed and thy seed. They get all tore all to pieces and being all out of shape. And I'm like, you guys already hold to this belief. You already believe that angels came down and bred with the daughters of men in Genesis 6. Nothing new is under the sun. Why can't you accept this? Why is this so far-fetched for you?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's hard to go. I mean, it's not like you're in the company of like weirdos either. Like there's some legitimate biblical scholars that believe this too. And you've even had them on the show. I've heard you interview them. And like,
yeah.
I had a theory brought to me the other day. In the book of Jubilees, I think it's, and I'm not going to go into the weeds here in my computer, but there's an angel named Gadriel that's talked about in the book of Jubilees. And part of that description of this angel, it says that he is the one that tempted Eve in the garden. Have you ever seen this?
No, I've missed that.
So maybe it's worth it. Maybe I have to edit a little bit of this, but
yeah. And there's so many others too, man. It's like I got this collection of books right here. These are the writings of Rashi, and he was a Jewish rabbi, and he did translations of the Targums in the Old Testament, and even done commentaries. So that's the 5 books of the Torah, and it's all his breakdown and notes, study notes of the Targums and the 5 books of the Torah. And in there, he even talks about the serpent, the Nakash, looked at Eve with lust and wanted her for his wife. And there's stories like even after the garden, he's caught peeping on her while she's in the river bathing and all this kind of stuff. And there's the Targums of Jonathan come right out and says the angel of death, the viper of God, had a child with Eve, and that was Cain. I mean, it's all over the place, man.
Okay, so it's actually not Jubilees. It's even though he's brought up in Jubilees, it's the book of Enoch identifies the fallen watcher angel Gadriel as the specific figure who led Eve astray in the Garden of Eden, showing her the weapons of death and teaching humanity bloodshed. So there's either way, it says that Gadriel, not was the one, that specific figure who led Eve astray, which changes some things too. I mean, and again, you just have to use discernment and wonder, and unfortunately with a lot of books that even just aren't in the Bible, the Apocrypha or whatever you want to call them, you have to take some of it with a grain of salt, but some of it you don't. But it's also I feel like it's a license to pick and choose what you believe and what you don't. And then you get to cherry pick, right? So
yeah,
I've just found that was wild. Somebody brought that up to me the other day. I was like, what? So, because we were talking about the adversary, of who Satan is. And what is the name of the adversary? Like everyone talks about Satan, but again, Satan is Satan. Satan's somewhat of a job title and things like that.
Samael, when you get into Ginsburg, Legends of the Jews, and I can't remember if it's Jasher or not, but I know it's in Legends of the Jews. They say that the viper of God, the angel of death, was Samael, and that he was Esau's guardian angel.
Right. And I mean, there is in that point too, I think. So it might have been in Jubilees where it actually gives you the hierarchy of the watchers. And I want to say it just gave you like a rundown of who was who. and it talked about the first was blah, blah, blah. And it was Samyaza, and then it talks about the 10th was Azazel and, things like that. So who the generals of these folks were.
Yeah, and even in Enoch, too, if you pay attention, how I said earlier, everybody wants to talk about Genesis 6, and they believe in Genesis 6, angels breeding with men, making hybrid races, but they don't want to go there with the garden.
Yeah.
But when you go to Enoch, it pretty much tells you and confirms that, because if you look, there's this little ambiguous passage in there, but it says about the fallen angels. It says the fallen angels became subject to the adversary, to the Hasatan, the Nakash.
Yep.
So what does that mean?
Yeah.
It means he gave them an idea. He taught them something. So he's like, because, he did it first. He's like, hey, this thing I did with Eve, hey, let me show you. And it goes along with the promise too, because the big promise, what does he say in the garden? He said, when you partake of this tree, ye shall be as gods. Yeah. Well, what does God do that none of the angelic host can do, or even them at that time? To create life. When they bred, they made life. They made children.
Yeah, right.
So he fulfilled his promise. Ye shall be as gods. And they couldn't do it before, because if they could, the curses that God gives wouldn't make sense. If they could reproduce and have children already, why would God come up and say, cursed are you for the things you've done, and you will have painful menstruation. I will increase your pain in childbearing. I will put enmity between her seed and thy seed. It's all about sexual reproduction. They cover their sexual reproductive organs after they partake of this tree and God walks up. So it's like, I think it's pretty clear, man, for those with eyes to see and ears to hear, but it's like most things, he's not going to spell it out for you. It's there for those who look and read between the lines, because Proverbs even tells you it is the glory of God to what? To conceal a thing. But it is the glory of kings to search things out. Jesus taught in parables.
Yeah.
He didn't spell it out for them. And even the apostles, after he get done talking, they'd be like, what were you talking about? And when he explained it, it was, it was allegory. You had to dive in and pick it apart. And he said, I speak to them in allegories, because to them the mysteries have not been given. But the mysteries have been given to you, and you still ask me, Rabbi.
Yeah. So do you believe, along the same line of questioning here, do you believe there are truths that humans aren't meant to access, or just truths that we're discouraged from touching?
I think that there is some that we're not supposed to have, because the whole Genesis 6 thing, it says that we were given forbidden knowledge, and it corrupted humanity ultimately enough to where they had to hit that reset button. But I do believe there's some that is discouraged too. Do not seek necromancers and sorcerers. But people do it all the time. But when they do, they have those spiritual repercussions afterwards. And a lot of people want to look at God and be like, oh, he's a tyrant. He's, this, don't do this, don't do that. It's a lot of don'ts. And as a child, you look at all your rules and don'ts that your parents say you can't do. You're like, oh, they're mean. They're stupid. They don't know what they're talking about. They're just mean. They don't want me to have fun. That's a child's mentality. But then when you get older and you look back, you're like, no, all those were there to protect me because they loved me. And your Heavenly Father is no different in my mind.
Yeah. That's a good point. So do you see history as linear or cyclical? Like
cyclical.
Because if it's cyclical, where do you think we're at right now?
And here's something that I do that it's like a double-edged sword. It really some people that really like me and my content and how I think for this reason is why they really like me. But then on the opposite side, there's so many people that just absolutely just think I'm a heretic and a false teacher and all this other kind of wild stuff because of this. But I am a Christian. I believe the Bible is the divine inspired word of God. But when I say that, there's a lot of Christians that look at that like occult automatic writing. Like, the Spirit of God took them over and their eyes rolled back in their head. And they wrote it all down. And it's perfect, preserved for all time, never corrupted, because it's the divine inspired word of God. I'm not one of those. The Bible speaks out staunchly against that type of stuff. So I think, just like Daniel, he got dreams and visions. He interpreted those dreams and visions. And if he had issue or trouble and he couldn't figure it out, then he asked and prayed for help. So God reveals himself through mankind, and mankind interprets and writes down
John on
the
Patmos,
message.
right? There's so many examples of this.
And so I look at that way. So with that being said, there's plenty of things in history that happened that we know happened from physical evidence and archaeology and other testimonies that are not in the Bible.
Yeah.
So just because something is not in the Bible does not automatically make it a lie and not true, because there's a lot of Christians that have that mentality. So I look at other, like you talk about, what rhymes. I've heard you say that and I've stole it from you, brother.
Yeah.
So I look at the other stories and see what rhymes. So when I hear the same story throughout all these different cultures, but just maybe the names have changed or just a little bit of, tweaking on it, I think there's something to that. And it stems from an ancient point of origin. So one common theme, as far as the time being cyclical, or how you ever say it, cyclical. How do you say that?
Cyclical.
That's killing me now. Yeah, that word. When you look at all the other religions and customs and stuff, they talk about time that way.
Yep.
And I don't know how many, the Indians, the Aztecs, the Maya, the Hindu, just everybody pretty much talks about like we're in the fourth world or the fifth world. First it was destroyed with floods, like twice or something like that. And then they go on down, but the final world is supposed to be destroyed by fire. Right. That's Revelation, folks. I mean, that's our Bible. So we just covered this last cycle. Yeah. And we just covered this last cycle. They kept records and kept all the other cycles too.
Yep.
So I think that's how it works, man. There's just many great resets. After so long, God gets fed up and hits that restart button.
I mean, I look at it once again. We're talking about worldview, right?
Yeah.
So we have a tendency to, a bunch of us at least that we all know, are a Deuteronomy 32 kind of worldview, right? At least that's what we'll say. We'll put that label on it. But when I'm saying worldview in this aspect, I mean, you're talking about people that were given vision from God to write down whatever they wrote, okay? In their world, in their realm, okay? They didn't know
their context.
I mean, yes, in their context. And no matter what people want to believe or whatnot, it would be just like somebody, you living in Tennessee, getting words from something, a God, a whatever entity, you writing it down, okay, from in your context of Tennessee and the United States of America. But what if the same word was given to somebody in Taiwan or Hong Kong, China, and their worldview and how they perceive things and their reality is different than your reality? So this is what I mean by the things rhyme. It doesn't mean that they're evil. It just means that they have a different story in what we need to do. It's just like when we talk to each other, we need to find, instead of finding all the discrepancies, if we spent time finding all the spots where we connect, we would all love each other.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is the true word of God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit, all of it. Instead, we're here taking I like movies. I know you do too, but it's taking the words from Edward Longshanks from uh, the movie Highlander. It was not Highlander. What is it? William Wallace, the one with
Braveheart.
Braveheart, where they're all taking from the scraps from Longshank's table. Instead of us working that way in what we do in our ministry, we need to empower ourselves and look at where we combine, not at where we necessarily divert. And I don't want to get on that just sent me down kind of on a soapbox there. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. And that's the thing too. I think, God talks about, only like the children will inherit the kingdom of God. I think what he means by that is like childlike innocence and awe and wonder.
Yes.
If you're, and you have great imagination, there is no limits, So I love how Mike Kaiser talks about, you need to read your Bible like it's fiction. He said, I'm not saying it is fiction. He said, but I'm saying you need to read it as if it were.
Yeah.
He said, because when you do that, you're reading it with childlike eyes and childlike wonder.
Yep.
You've gotten rid of the rules of the world and what you think you know. You accept what's there as is. He said, and that's how you're going to receive the word and understand it better if you approach it that way.
Yeah. I think it would make the best movie ever made. The best set of movies ever made would be especially the Old Testament. But the New Testament too. I mean, could you imagine turning that into a movie? It would be, and I'm convinced that the reason that they don't turn it into a movie is because people would start to be like, "Oh, that's what the Bible says." I think they use it as a tool to keep us dumb. So, just saying, they.
Oh yeah,
real, they.
Yeah, they, whoever they be. But that's one thing too, is I try to tell people, I am a very curious person. I'm not some genius, but I'm a fairly smart feller. And I like looking into this stuff.
Yeah.
But I come in with a bucket load of humility. I know I have more questions than I have answers. And I come in humble that I know nothing, with that childlike wonder and curiosity. Have a blank slate, lay it on me, and I'm ready to learn. But there's a lot of people have this really puffed up pride.
Yeah.
They got it all figured out. If
you haven't noticed, folks,
they know. Yeah. And my pastor told me XYZ for 20 years, and I believe it. I can't tell you why I believe it, but you're just wrong, and I'm right. You're a false prophet, false teacher, because you don't agree with me. Those people are never going to learn anything. Christ talks about, he takes how's it worded in Proverbs? He said he takes the fool to confound the wise, and that the first would be the last. That these people that are so haughty and think they got it all figured out, they're the dummies. They're the ones not learning anything new because they think they got it all figured out, man. The humble that come in and be like, man, I'm stupid. Please teach me.
Teach me.
He's going to show you things. He ain't going to show something to somebody that's puffed up in their pride and think they got it all figured out and they're so smart.
No. Yeah. True story. For sure. So, we live in a crazy time especially with like technology. How do you see technology shaping human consciousness for better or worse?
I look at it as like a hammer.
It's a tool.
You can take a hammer. Yeah, you can bust up an entire house and destroy everything with a hammer. But in the hands of the right person, they can build a beautiful house. So it's all on who's holding the tool determines the value, how much it's worth, and what they can do with it. So on one hand, I think it's making people a lot more stupid and dumber. They don't have to read a book anymore. They can just go to ChatGPT and type it in.
Yeah.
And don't even cross-reference ChatGPT. Just whatever it says is the gospel. It's the truth. So therefore, they get you dependent on this thing. And how easy would it be that, they give you the right answers at first, but then they realize how dependent you are on this thing. So then they start feeding you false information and narratives to shape your worldview into the way they want you to think. And they did studies. It's like since AI and ChatGPT and all that stuff's come out, the national average or global average of people's IQ have dropped significantly because instead of just using this tool, they are relying
as a tool
on this tool, and it's making people dumber. But on the other hand, it's there's people like me and you that use AI to help us make thumbnail artwork to get people to watch our show and spread some seeds. We use AI to make reels to get people's attention to talk about these subjects that we think that are being neglected and that people need to be educated on. So there's all kinds of good things that you can use it for too. But I think we have to use it, not be dependent on it.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, I'm a nationalist. Well, I guess in a former life, but I still kind of do it now. I have to dabble in it now because of my one of my jobs. I'm a national security professional, I guess is what I'd say. So I get into stuff like modern surveillance and whatnot. So would you say things like modern surveillance, because you bring up AI, you bring up that we're on camera almost everywhere we're at, but modern surveillance is more about control or about conditioning? Just your opinion.
I think both, man. Number one, it conditions you to be a role model citizen because you're being watched.
Stay in your lane, right?
Yeah. You're going to be on your best behavior when you're being watched, because what do they say when the father's away, the kids will play?
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it. But then on the other hand, it's setting up for control. I went on to Sean Atwood's show and we were kind of talking about that. And I was like, Palantir, the surveillance state and cameras on every corner. I said, you got your smartphones, you got your smart TVs, you got your smart cars, your smart watches. So all these tools make your life easier and more convenient, but you are trading your privacy and freedoms for comfort, or for the illusion of comfort and security.
Yeah.
And Franklin said it best. He said, and that they saw this back in the 1700s. He said, those who trade their freedoms for the illusion of security deserve neither.
Yep.
So they're everything. Where you drive, your driving patterns, the route you take to work, all that's being documented and mapped. The conversations you have on your phone and in your car using your hands-free Bluetooth devices that the government makes you use. They can tap into all that thanks to 9/11. They scared you enough to say, oh, well, we can't catch these guys because of your freedoms. Your freedoms are in the way. We can't listen to if we could listen to some phone conversations, we could have stopped this, guys. Oh, here, listen to our phone conversations. Please just keep us safe.
And now with the AI, it makes it even easier for them to listen to it. So
so you got all these things happening. They took away the gold, went to the Federal Reserve. Now they're starting to try to push to Bitcoin in this chain block system. They're going to know every dime you spend, your driving habits, what you talk about. I mean, they're going to know everything. So if you want to look at Revelation and the beast system, those, you can't buy, sell, or trade without this mark. Those who don't bow to the beast is going to be killed. Well, how are they going to know that you're not bowing? Because they got cameras on every corner and recording everything you say with your cell phone in your pocket.
And they control everything. As soon as you slide a debit card or use Apple Pay, they know exactly what is being spent. So and if you're not
being a good little boy or girl, they shut down your account.
And if you don't, the social credit stuff. This is all real, folks. It's all real. So they're just setting it up, and we could go down that, but that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, the truckers in Canada, prime example. They stood up against Justin Trudeau, and they locked all their bank accounts, man.
Yeah, just insane craziness. So with all this being said, we're talking about battles, right? The biggest battle right now, political, spiritual, or psychological, or is it something else entirely? In your opinion?
To me, I mean, it's a mixture of all that stuff, but I think it stems back to spiritual, because I hold to that Deuteronomy 32 worldview.
Yeah. Agreed.
There's fallen sons of God ruling over the nations, and they're whispering into the ears of the kings and rulers, and that's a biblical thing, folks. If you go back and you look, Ezekiel 28, he's talking to the king of Tyre. And this is a real king. He's talking to this king, but then all of a sudden that language changes. He's like, "Oh, you were in Eden, perfect in all your ways, and you defiled your sanctuary." So therefore, he ain't talking to this king of Tyre no more. He's talking to the entity behind the king of Tyre. Then you get into Ezekiel, the condemnation to the Pharaoh of Egypt. He's talking to a Pharaoh, but then all of a sudden it starts changing the language. Like, you are the most beautiful tree in Eden. Your branches and furlongs went into the heavens, and all the trees of Eden looked at you with jealousy and envy for your beauty. He ain't talking to that king no more. So I think it all stems from that.
The spiritual base, or foundation, right? Yeah, I agree. Agreed. And what do you think people's, what do you think the people misunderstand most about, I guess you could call it this, like, you hear the term awakening a lot right now. And we know, we can feel something going on, right? Something's happening. So I guess awakening is as good a term as any, but what do you think people misunderstand most about this awakening and this time that we're in? I'm making you think today, brother.
Yeah. I guess with me is there's always two sides to every coin, and the devil will give you truths. These fallen sons of God will give you truths. They do. There's truths to be had in the occult. There's truths to be had in every world religion. There's truths to be had in your secret societies and organizations. But there's, more often than not, especially when it's not from God, you get 3 or 4 truths. Like you had said earlier, find that common ground, then you trust them, you build rapport. So they'll give you 3 or 4 truths to make you feel good and smart, and then they'll feed you the big lie that follows. So there's a lot of people getting this awakening, but they're getting it from the wrong side, because they've gotten some truths.
Yeah.
But those truths are followed by the big lie. And I blame the church. I've said it many times, because we have all the answers to these supernatural questions, to this, supernatural war, magic, evil, occult. I mean, all this stuff, ghosts, giants, all of it is in our Bible. We have the answers, but because it's weird or strange or makes us uncomfortable, Christianity has ignored it. So when you get people that have an awakening, or they experience the occult, or come out of witchcraft and all these different things, they know the supernatural is real. They know there's something bigger happening, that this is just a shadow of a greater reality. And so they hear about this God, the creator of all, and Christians just talk about him, this, that, and the other. So I'll go to church. They got the answers. And they come out of the occult. They've seen magic. They've seen all this stuff.
They're supposed to have the answers, right?
Yeah. And then they look at them like they're crazy. And they're like, "Oh, that stuff ain't real." People write about that and make up stuff to sell books. That stuff ain't real. And they know it's real.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? They're going to go to the talking head down the street that's got the copper triangles, and sitting in and meditating and doing astral projection and taking some ayahuasca, talking to the gods, because they know this stuff's real and they're talking about it, but they're feeding you the wrong information. But when you're looking, you're going to go to where whoever's serving. So us Christians, I mean, which we are, we're doing better. But we need to talk about these things and give them the right information
Yeah.
because the people that are searching are going to go wherever they can be fed.
Yeah, for sure. You bring up truth. I haven't really beaten my audience to death with it yet, but it's in a couple, because I explained to you that I've done like 20 interviews this month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the third podcast that I'm going to bring it up in, where it talks about truth and some of the most profound truth that I've been hit with my entire life. Well, it's probably the most profound truth I got hit with. And I think the first time I ever brought it up was on an episode of Treble Garcia, a guy that you and I both know. But I'm going to give context to the story now. Is I was deployed in the army to the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. This is right around the time of 9/11. I was in Egypt when 9/11 happened. So with that being said, being in Egypt, we had access and were given the ability to go to go visit some of these ancient sites and go into Israel as well. So with that being said, one of the trips that I was able to take was to go to Mount Sinai. Now, people can, and people do argue and differ on the true location of Mount Sinai, but this is one that has been, it's actually called Mount Sinai, and there's a cathedral, or not a cathedral, a monastery at the base of it called St. Catherine's, which there's the burning bush is supposedly there, and all these things, right? But this is supposedly Mount Sinai, where Moses went up to the top and the Israelites camped at the bottom for 40 years, right? Or something like that. So there is a trail well worn, because thousands of years of pilgrims have walked up this trail. It takes about, I can't remember if it was 3 hours or 6 hours. Either way, I went up it, and it was one of the most profound things in my life. It was a beautiful day. I did it alone. And I walked up Mount Sinai, got to the top, and I remember looking out over the desert, because essentially it's just desert, looking out over deserts as far as the eye can see. And I had the words enter my head, that service without truth is slavery. That's what hit me. And that day is,
I think I heard you say that in a clip.
Yeah. And essentially that's the day I decided I was getting out of the military. Basically, it's the day I kind of decided I was just, done with a lot of things. But the number one thing was the military, and I ended up getting out. But that reverberates in my head throughout my life now from that point on, is that service without truth is death, or is slavery. And I think I put a lot of things through that lens that I do. And is this serving me? Is this serving God? Is this serving the kingdom? Right? Or am I a slave to this? So with that being said, is a long-winded thing, is, pursuing truth. Has it ever cost you friendships, opportunities, peace of mind? We've talked about this, but this is one of these things that I wonder, because it has for me, but it's a deep question, and you can go as deep as you want, but pursuing truth, has it ever cost you friendships, opportunities, or peace of mind?
Oh yeah, 100%. I can't remember if it was Solomon. It sounds like Solomon, but in there it talks about the beginning of wisdom, and learning truth and things like that is the beginning of all sorrows, and it's the truth. Dr. Phil used to have this saying. He's like talking to married people and talking mainly to the men, but he said when they'd want to fight with their women all the time, he'd say, "Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?" Because you can't have both. So if you want the truth, then prepare for some grief and some sorrow. because most of the world is like the Matrix. It's like that one guy, I can't remember his name, but he was out of the Matrix, but he wanted back in. He said, ignorance is bliss. And that's how most people are.
Yeah.
So when you take that red pill, you are now the minority. You're the outsider. You're the weird one. And you're turned against. I've said it before. I think I told about on Treble's show. This path that I'm on now, it cost me my marriage.
Yeah.
It cost me my house, everything that I ever worked for. I had a real close friend when we started going down to first started podcasting. He was not a Christian. I grew up with him my whole life, worked on him, witnessed to him. He finally became a Christian, and we started going, but he didn't get his foundation in Christ. He just wanted to try to run with me. Oh, giants, fallen angels. And the next thing you know, he one internet personality winds up with another. And now, next thing you know, he's into flat earth and Hebrew roots. And Jesus is the Antichrist.
Mm.
And
wow, he went all in.
We need to, yes, we
wow.
need to worship on Saturdays, blow our trumpets, and observe all the feasts and holy days, don't eat pork. And Jesus is the Antichrist. He's the one leading everyone astray. He's the one that stood in the temple and proclaimed to be God, and all this stuff. So it cost me a lifelong friendship. This whole seed war thing I talked about with my book, I knew that when I found this, that if I spoke it, put it in a book, I was going to be ostracized and I was going to pay for it. But it was just more important to me to know the truth and to put it out there for those that want the truth. There's going to be many, like I said, the majority don't want it. And I knew, but I went on I've recorded with really big name shows, like my bucket list shows, record it and it's ready to go. And then someone reach out to them and tell them that I'm a serpent seed guy. Then they'll email me. Hey, do you believe in the serpent seed? Someone told us you believe in the serpent seed, even though we didn't talk about it in that episode.
Yeah.
It'll get pulled because of what I believe. I've had many people unfollow me, call me false prophet and all this other kind of stuff, and not work with me anymore on my show and come in for interviews because of the stuff that I researched and talked about. Truth. Nothing in life is free, folks.
True story. That's the truth for sure. How do you personally stay grounded? Like because you research some heavy, unsettling topics, right? You've opened the can on that, so you kind of don't, you're headed down rabbit holes that some people don't. But how do you stay grounded while researching these heavy topics?
I guess with me is because I talked about, my other friend, he didn't have his foundation. So it's like he jumped straight into the deep end where the sharks and whales were and no life preserver.
Right.
And he drowned. You've got to have your foundation. There's all kinds. Jesus told parables, the man that built his house on the sand and the man that built his house on the rock. That rock is Jesus Christ. So he's your foundation stone. He even says that, he's the cornerstone that the builders rejected. So you have to have your foundation before you ever try to build some big, tall skyscraper full of Nephilim giants, fallen angels, and all this cool stuff.
Yeah, because it is cool.
Or you'll be led astray.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
You'll be led astray, man. And I bring it up all the time that we talk about this. That interview that I done with Timothy Alberino, he talked about it. And he said, there's all kinds of people, he said, coming into this space, new Christians. He said, jumping into giants, fallen angels, UFOs, and all this. He said, really cool, exciting topics. He said, things that I enjoy. He said, and I talk about it nauseum. He said, but they come in straight to that. He said, then they start just watching all these YouTube personalities. He said, a lot of them just making up crap just for clicks and views because they get paid for it. He said, they don't care about your spiritual well-being or your soul. They just care that you watch. That way they get some money. He said, and they lead people astray. He said, and they drown because they don't have their foundation. He said, so it's like, know the story of Christ. Read the New Testament. Know the story of Christ, the story of salvation, what Christ did for you. And not only be able to express those ideas, but be able to defend those ideas against non-believers. And then once you do that, that is your foundation. That is your anchor, out on this ship of roaring waters. And as long as you have that anchor, man, you might get tossed and turned and pushed around, but you're going to be always right there and safe. And that's Jesus Christ, folks. So, but once you have that foundation, you can find these giants, fallen angels, serpent seed, all these other things that just solidify your faith and make it stronger. But if you don't have that foundation stone, you'll build this beautiful skyscraper full of UFOs, Nephilim giants, fallen angels. But the first storm that comes, it's going to all come falling down. So my grounding is my foundation in Christ. All the stuff I look at, as long as it doesn't contradict the Bible and the story of Christ and salvation and the redemption of mankind, I'll entertain it and I'll read it.
Yep. Absolutely. I hear you. So what question do you think everyone should be asking right now, but isn't?
I'll steal this from Coach Dave. He said something at the last
Coach
Evangelist
Dave.
Conference. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. He was at that last conference I went to, the Last Evangelist Film Festival, and he stood up. And I got it on film. When I was up there interviewing with David Hebner, Coach Dave stood up because I was talking about some of these same topics here and how we need to question everything, and look and be good stewards and look things up. And he stood up. You could hear him behind the camera. He says, well, folks, he's real rough around the edges. And he said, folks, I agree with this man's sentiment. He said, but we need that with everything. He doesn't matter if it's your mom, your dad, your pastor. He said, when you get told something, he said, you need to ask 2 questions. Who told me that? And is it true? So those are 2 questions we all need to ask on everything that we are told and that we are shown. Ask us who told us that, consider the source, and are they a good, worthy source? And even if they are a good, worthy source, is it true? Go and look it out for yourself.
Yeah, how do they benefit with me, from this too?
Yes. The whole serpent seed thing, I relied heavily on people that I respected, really smart people, that I agree with a lot of stuff that they talk about. But they said that cup held no water. Don't waste your time. It's laughable. So I just took their word at it. They told me that, so it's good. So I didn't ask the second question, is it true? But once I started looking for myself, I'm like, how did they not see this? Are they like Paul? Are they, spiritually blinded and the scales are over their eyes? Yeah. Or did they not ask those 2 questions themselves? They had someone tell them that's laughable, it doesn't hold water, and they just took their word for it and didn't seek it out.
Yeah.
So everything, guys, ask yourselves, who told me that? And is it true? So thank you, Coach Dave. I'm going to hold on to that. That's a keeper.
Yeah. So kind of starting to wrap things up. What's coming next for Justin Brown and Prometheus Lens? What you got cooking over there, Doc?
I got a lot of stuff I want to do. And I think we were talking pre-roll. It's kind of like you make some really good paintings.
Yep.
With what little bit of free time you have. But then all of a sudden someone, pays all your debt off and says, okay, I love your work. So now you just focus on your work. You're like, oh man, I can just do this all the time now. And then you're staring at a bunch of blank canvases and you're like, oh my God, where do I start? What do I do? It's like you have so many choices, you're frozen. So
analysis
I got a couple books. Baby. Yeah. I got a couple books in my head that I've been wanting to write ever since I released that first one. Mm-hmm. So now I have the time to write those. I have filmed 3 or 4 documentaries already. I just never had the time to put them together. I have no excuses on that anymore. And I'm also wanting to, of course, create more content, go out and see these ancient sites in America and around the world, wherever, I'm allowed to, get the funds up and time to go
Yeah.
and film all these things and share it with the world. Uh, and I want to build a stronger connection with my subscribers and my followers. So I want to start doing some more live chats and discussions and get to know my fam. That's what I call them. They're my fire fam. So my Promethean Knights, I love y'all.
Right. That's awesome. So I'm going to leave you. Usually I have people broadcast the seed, but you've already kind of done that in my thing. But I came up with a question for you, and I'm going to let this be the last question. So if Prometheus were alive today, who would he be stealing fire from, and what would that fire actually be?
Christ. The fire is Christ. And you need to spread that fire to everybody.
Yeah. I think that's a good answer. For sure.
Hey, that's a Southern Baptist boy's secret. The answer is always Jesus.
The answer is always Jesus. That's fabulous. So tell folks where they can find you again.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate the conversation. And yeah, you've made my brain hurt today. It's like I'm used to
that's what I try
having a subject searched out and just be able to do my routine and get off the stage, But I enjoyed it, man. But yeah, Prometheus Lens Podcast, anywhere you consume content, Apple, Spotify, Spreaker, YouTube, all those things. Same thing with the social medias. Just search up Prometheus Lens Podcast, website, PrometheusLensPodcast.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You get a couple free chapters of my book and a 30-day subscription to Supercast, and that gives you ad-free listing experience for 30 days. You can get a signed copy of my book on there. Just send me some money through PayPal, and I send out sticker packs and things like that if you go that route. Or you can just go to Amazon and get it there. It's also out on audiobook. So if you can't read or don't want to read, you are without an excuse now. You can go to your Audible app and get me reading the book to you. So it's no AI stuff.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And but yeah, man, that's it, man. Just if you like this kind of stuff, man, join us on the hero's journey, man. Let's steal some fire and spread it around.
Sure. Awesome. It's always a pleasure, man.
No, I always enjoy it, man. We need to hang out again. That conference up in Gatlinburg, that was awesome hanging out with you and getting to meet you.
We'll figure it out this year. Get at least an event or something together to do together. All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Let's see, man.
They told us myths were made of smoke, just stories carved in stone. Fire still burns the same when you strike it on your own. Crowns built out of borrowed light, thrones wired into fear. Truth chained high on mountain walls while vultures circle near. If knowledge is a crime, we were guilty from the start. They don't fear the questions, they fear the spark. So we steal the fire, not to rule, not to reign, just to see through smoke and mirrors and call the beast by name. They say the truth will cost you friends, comfort, peace of mind, but slavery wears a softer face when fire's left behind. Tongues were split and lines were drawn, watchers set to rule. Whispers fed into the thrones while schools trained obedient fools. Serpents don't just lie